Hey, this is the Fargo Five. Welcome. We have Leola Daul from the Heart and Soul Community Cafe. Hello, Leola.
Hi, Conrad. Thanks for having me today.
Well, thank you so much for coming. You are the owner or the operator of Heart and Soul Community Cafe?
Right. I'm the founder and executive director. So we're a nonprofit. And so Heart and Soul, our mission is to address food insecurities, build community, and serve delicious food to nourish body, heart, and soul.
That's amazing. We will get into the event that's coming up this weekend and many more in our next segment, the Fargo Five. But first, I want to know about you. So, Leola, I told you I would mess up the name on air because I want to read it Leola. Are you from Fargo then?
I am from Fargo, born and raised here.
What part of Fargo? So born and raised the whole life you've lived in Fargo?
Well, I left after college and went to the cities for about 5 years and ended up coming back to Fargo.
All roads lead back home.
Right.
What brought you back home?
You know, my friends always were kind of like, you eventually end up back in Fargo, and I did. And so my family is here, and so that's kind of what brought me back.
Your family here, so you came back. Did you have a job lined up when you came?
My background is early childhood, and so at the time I was working in a childcare center in St. Paul and came back here and had interviewed at some different childcare centers and then ended up opening my own in-home childcare. And
wow!
so
Wait, so you came here with that background, and you interviewed for a job, and you said rather than work for somebody else, you just open something.
Right.
That's really
Decided to give it a
spectacular.
try. Well,
How did you have the background? So did your family help you, or how did you end up opening that? That's quite a jump.
When I lived in St. Paul, a friend of mine had an in-home childcare. And so I helped her a few times. And so she was a great resource. And then also at the time, and it still is available, there's childcare resource and referral. And so they help you get going to open a childcare. And
wow.
And so
So you just hung out the shingle. And you're like, I've got a house.
Well, I actually was renting at the time, and the person that I rented from was very kind. And, the place I rented was a duplex, so it had a big yard.
Yeah. Oh,
and
wow.
It was perfect.
And where was so you grew up in Fargo? What neighborhood did you grow up in?
You know what? I'm over by South High. So went to Lewis and Clark and then Agassiz at the time and then South High. And
and that was like the edge of town when you were growing up, I'll bet, right? Just about.
Kind of. So when I was in high school, if out by Courts Plus was like the edge of town.
Yeah.
I had friends that lived out there, and I remember one year there was a snowstorm and school closed, and she took the bus home. And she couldn't get home, so she had to stay at our house, which now thinking about that,
that's crazy.
Seems unfathomable.
Well, no, I don't know. So the last couple of years, and I blame the pandemic. Schools close at the drop of a hat now.
Right,
and
true.
I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and the daycares follow suit with the schools.
Right.
And so the school is like, well, people from Glendon can't make it into Moorhead, so we're going to close down Fargo Daycare, which is a little crazy. So they have gotten to be that way.
Yeah, it's maybe a little different than back then.
And so then when you came back from St. Paul, whereabouts in Fargo were you staying and where you had that apartment?
It's kind of funny. I didn't go far from where I grew up. I was over kind of where off of 13th Avenue where the Carl Ben Middle School is. That area.
No, I know exactly where that is.
And so there was some duplexes over there that you can still rent.
And, south of 13th there.
Yes, just south of 13th.
Okay.
Right.
No, my first house was on 10th Avenue, just north of there.
Oh, you're kidding.
3 blocks away from Carl Ben. So I know that neighborhood very well. I love that neighborhood.
Yeah, I love it. I'm still over in that neighborhood. I have a house now, but I'm in the same neighborhood.
Oh, okay. So over near Carl Ben, are you north
Correct.
of 13th now? Or
now
you're
I'm
still
north
south?
of 13th.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. You and I might be within walking distance.
Might be neighbors.
Are you? I'm not going to ask your address on the. So how long did you do that in-home?
I did that for 9 years.
Okay. Well, you're really close to another in-home daycare where my kids went for a while, which was Gales on 15th Street. Are you familiar with? And I can't remember the name of the actual, what it's called right now. My wife, who may or may not be listening, is probably just like screaming it at her radio right now. But it's on like 15th Street and 11th Avenue, right on the corner there.
Oh, boy.
You know where that is? Near that Methodist church.
Right. I know where you mean. It was almost 20 years ago that I had the daycare, so I'm not.
Wow. And then, so what have you done between daycare and now? I mean, what have you been doing? What?
So I had the in-home daycare for 9 years, and then I actually ended up having like kind of a strange illness called fifth disease, which you actually get from kids.
From kids, yeah.
Yeah, but I had arthritis symptoms.
Oh,
and so I had to quit doing the daycare work. And I actually just did some odd jobs, worked at a flower shop, and then I also worked at a candy shop. And then I started to, thank goodness, get better, and I missed working with kids.
Yeah.
And kids and families. So then I ended up working at Community Action Agency, SENCA.
Okay.
Yeah, and so worked in their childcare program. And then after that, stayed within SENCA, but started working at Head Start.
Head Start. Well, I went there as a child.
You did?
Head Start. That was my preschool.
Yeah,
so,
it's a great
program. Some of my earliest memories are going and getting the milk from the basement.
Right?
That's my and then the poison sticker guy, the guy that makes the face with the lime green, Mr. Yuck or Mr. Ick or whatever his name was. Those are the two. Like those are my first formative memories. Is going to Head Start. So very cool. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about the Heart and Soul Community Cafe and the event that you have coming. So don't go nowhere. Our first song is going to be Buckingham Green by Ween. See you on the other side.